It's Vizzy and Riley, aka Vizzy and the Golden Witch, the VOIDGAZERS. Follow me into the void, not typically avoid feelings that you're paranoid of making you into a joint to bury. We carry all your memories and remix your ancestors. Past the future, have a melt in your mouth texture.
Cheese, bread, take your head. Just rush the bed, dodge the fence. A virus spreads, you're not sick, so take the pill. Everyone can see you on the hill, so come into the void.
So my problem with it, right, is that people will see something they don't like, and instead of not engaging at all, you find that on the internet, people will engage negatively with something. Yeah. That doesn't happen in the rest of the world. I can't go not buy a movie in a negative stance on something in public, right?
Right.
And if I go buy a movie ticket, then I'm supporting it. On the internet, like YouTube, because I'm pretty new to YouTube shit, you come into YouTube and you just get to be like, oh yeah, I watched this and it fucking sucks, and here's why.
Well, the weirder thing than that is like people whose stake in the matter is bizarre, where they're saying things. I mean, we have a caller, I think, who's here, who is talking about my career and like saying things like, oh, the money's going downhill because of content like this, and I always sort of wonder like, well, what does that even have to do with you if it was exactly true,
right?
But like, even notwithstanding that, the level of like perspective people have into what I do or why is like, not only do they not have a lot of it, but they have much less if they don't keep up with what I'm doing and like actually listen to all the content. And
yeah, a few of the comments on the video were like, oh, who are these people, or this is a terrible introduction to new channel people. So well, this wasn't the introduction.
No, it's like you guys have been here for months in all the videos on the channel. There's been other videos of just you guys too.
Right, yeah, like, we've been doing music stuff.
Right. So like, on top of that though, like, if you watch the videos, like the last VOIDGAZERS video that's been sitting, the latest video on the channel for almost 2 weeks now, has like a 10-minute segment of me talking about like the changing direction of my content, the way people tend to react to it, and like exactly kind of talking about the sort of comments that end up showing up on the very next video. And like, you were just addressing the irony of that, but like, it's also obvious why this happened, is that it's an Evangelion video. So a lot of people who would only click on an anime video, click on this, expecting it to be
disappointed, because the point is that we don't watch anime. We haven't gotten into anime, and we're trying to now. Mint's an artist, and I'm an autist. But, we're just trying to get into, like, a new thing. And a couple people did see that that's the point and appreciate it for that, but...
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess we should start talking to the commenters before we get too far.
We should. And don't worry, guys. The rest of that series is going to be on OnlyFans right here.
OnlyFans.com/VOIDGAZERS, where you can also get... There's a new bonus episode of a bonus content of our fucking trip.
Awesome.
Today, so.
That's dope. Yeah, go there to check it out.
On the OnlyFans.
So we'll bring in our first caller.
Yeah.
Dr. Insano 666.
What's up? Okay, so you Riley, you've challenged me to come to your podcast. So
yes,
here I am.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for showing up. A couple other people I challenged in the YouTube comments were like, oh, why do you care? Why are you responding? It's like, well, why did you say some shit in the first place if you didn't want to talk about it?
If you couldn't back it up.
So thank you for coming to talk about it.
I have no problem in talking about it, in having a 1 hour long text-based YouTube argument. I'm fine with either of those.
So take me back to the very beginning, okay? You're hanging out wherever you are.
The one we had like 3 months ago.
Oh, did we have an argument 3 months ago?
If someone doesn't like a service, you don't call him a dumbass. What do you solve?
Well, why not?
Because your point is to make money, to grow your business.
Is that the point, though?
Yeah, I'm not on YouTube to make money, man. That doesn't make sense at all.
YouTube doesn't make money.
You're here to get fans that would pay you for a Patreon or...
But, like, I'm not calling my fans dumbass. I'm calling the people who are saying bullshit I don't like dumbass, because they're not my fans. My fans don't criticize me in a public forum.
Yeah, but I think that was the point of one of the arguments I had with Digi. People are not fans and haters. There is a line, a process. It's I don't know.
I agree.
There are shades of fans. There are shades of between a fan, an absolute fan that gives you $100, and a hater.
Riley and I both have done a pretty good job of turning haters into fans in our comment section before, which is what we're. I mean, so
I'm just willing to talk to anybody.
Well, I'm curious to ask you. So how long have you been watching my channel for? Particularly that channel, the Digi Collective.
I mean, I watched it when it was called, of course, Digi After Dark, 2017, 2016.
What do you conceive of the channel to be about?
You're expressing your thoughts and opinions about anime in a less structured way.
How I don't the percentage of videos on this channel that are about anime has got to be like less than 5, like ever. Like this has never been an anime channel. I have an anime channel, but like
when rants about anime are not anime videos, they're rants.
Well, not even that. I'm saying that like I don't just rant about anime.
It wasn't just about anime. Music, It was about random topics, but first of all, it was your content.
How long did that period last, and how long have you been pining for it by comparison, is what I want to know. Because for the last 3 years, almost everything on my fucking channel has had my ex-fiance in it. So, like, it's been a long time since this channel was mostly me.
Honestly,
like,
I think
myself.
I've lost track of time. It was your unstructured content in which you express random rants or thoughts about stuff. I guess my favorite stuff was your Finish or Fail series, and the one about Anime Magazine.
Do you follow Content?
Yeah, a little.
A little. Okay, but that's the same thing as Finish or Fail. Like, that is it's there. It's
I
still
like
around.
that version of content.
Why? What the fuck's the difference?
It was different in a few ways. First of all, you could actually fail a show if you lost interest in it in one episode.
Shows and content, because I haven't finished watching a lot of them.
You failed it immediately. 5 minutes in, bam.
I mean, we will do that on the seasonal podcast sometimes. We'll talk about shows that we just stopped immediately. Like, we're pretty rough. Like, at the start of each season, we do, like, an hours-long thing of every show. So, like, that is the Finish or Fail. And then anything that makes it past that is what makes it through the rest of the content.
I mean, we both know that you're kind of forcing yourself to watch some of those stuff. Honestly, you've made a video about that, about how there are a million ways to hate an anime and to like it. You remember that video, right?
Yeah.
It's basically this. Finish or Fail, it was better for me in a subtle way. I mean, it's not that subtle. It was that I drop shows and I struggle with them in the same way. It was relatable. It was more of a relatable content to me than that show. I guess I also like Plebe and the Weeb. What started that argument was that based on metrics, for example, the last video wasn't that well received. So I said that it wasn't that well received. Where I'm that wrong? I mean,
well, you commented like 6 hours after it came out. You were like, "Oh, this video is a failure," and I thought Digi was back on the right track. But it's like, that's a goofy take.
If a video has less than 95% like to dislike ratio, it's not well received. It has a 50-50, I think.
I mean, you're wrong about how engagement works on a platform then. I'll tell you as a fact that there's no red or green button behind the up sign and the down sign on YouTube. They're both going to the same green engagement button in the back.
Right. We make
like,
less money if you hate it than if you love it. Is what
exactly. If you downvote it, it gets just the same engagement boost. It doesn't. You're wrong. I'm just telling you that you're literally incorrect about what you're saying about
like
the engagement. My point's just like, you shouldn't be trying to make money on YouTube, and if that's your criticism of us, rest assured that we're not trying to make money on these videos, we're just making the videos.
My point is to grow an audience, and you're not growing an audience.
Okay,
we have an audience.
This is something that we have to talk about. This is probably the central crux of all this for me, was really the Patreon numbers.
Sure.
Because this is an easy thing to fixate on, because I have public Patreon numbers.
Right.
And at the very height, the most money I've ever made on Patreon was about $5,000 a month.
Right.
That was in a period right after I had made like a weepy video about how being a YouTuber makes it people kill themselves, and then people like paid me more. At one point, I canceled all of my reward tiers. And that's why the Patreon
Well, that'll change your
dropped
Patreon income.
dramatically, because I still haven't reopened any of those reward tiers. So the fact that there are still a bunch of rants I haven't done, there's like a care pack I have to do. My Patreon is in decline because I'm late on rewards, canceled the biggest reward. Like the rants were making by far the most of the money on the Patreon. So like if there's not even offering the thing that was making the money, you know?
Right.
Plus COVID. So I bled a lot of money right at the start of
people
all
are
the
making
lockdowns
less money
happening.
to give to creators.
At first, when COVID started, when the lockdown started, I was like, oh, everybody's going to be indoors streaming, everybody's going to be hyper online and shit. That is not really what happened. Everybody just got depressed and went broke. So,
Right.
like, once I saw that was what was happening, I was like, I'm not so worried about trying to make money right now because nobody has money to give me. I'm, like, literally way more concerned about working on myself and, you know, attending to all these emotional needs that I've been neglecting for a decade as I just work nonstop. Like,
and aside from that, you're still working nonstop, building a backlog that can be sold in perpetuity for the rest of our time working together. Yeah. Like, that's what we're doing. Yeah. The only person who makes money on the internet is Dick Masterson. He makes $22,000 a month on Patreon. Like, that's the only guy. Like, if you're making $6,000 on Patreon a month, you're not making any money on the internet.
Nobody takes taxes out of my money. I have to just pay a third of all of what I earned in taxes once a year. So whatever you see on the Patreon, just subtract a third of that like you would for your own income, you know, like as the tax money. Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a lot of money, and I didn't put any of it away or into fucking
well, nobody does.
Growth potential. Like, I now have money in Bitcoin,
right?
You know, which is cool. I had like $200 that's now worth 800 or 900. So
sure,
that's awesome. Wish I had had 10 grand to put into Bitcoin when I did it, because that would have been fucking sick.
But so it's like, if the complaint is like, oh, I care for this creator and I don't want to see them be bankrupt, like, you don't really have to worry about that so much.
My point is for you to not become the next Spoonie. That's my point.
What's Spoonie? Okay,
but Spoonie's problem is that Spoonie wouldn't have you here talking to me right now. That's why Spoonie is Spoonie. That's the... Look, people have been saying, I don't want to see you be the next Spoonie for 6 years. Am I fucking Spoonie yet or not? Spoonie has been Spoonie all that time. He has not recovered. His reputation hasn't improved in any way. 6 years of, I just don't want to see you be the next Spoonie. Like, I would be there by now. Or am I? Like...
You're not doing you're getting there. I don't think Spoonie became Spoonie in one day.
Spoonie also is like never even remotely close to as internet famous as I am. Like,
do you think Spoonie would call into our show?
I hope I like Spoonie. I've watched some of his videos. It's all colored through the way people present it on the internet. Like, Spoonie's situation is not even as bad as...
Yeah, it's really funny to make fun of people on the internet, but like, first of all, anybody that's on the internet that you're talking to or complaining about is already doing better than you. Like, you should just remember that.
I finished law school. I'm working.
Okay. That's a healthy normie lifestyle.
Yeah.
We have way more fun than you.
Yeah. So how much extra cash do you have that we could possibly skim off of you for our OnlyFans?
If you subscribe to our OnlyFans today, Digi will make one finish or fail video next month. Just make a fail or fail video
in 3 seconds and explaining why in great depth.
Right.
Here's a better question. Have you ever paid me before?
Man, I try to be anonymous on the internet. That's my point.
So you have not?
Probably not.
Would you ever pay? Would you pay? You said you don't pay for anything on the internet. You just don't pay for content.
I don't pay that much, man.
I don't know if you're qualified to assess the mindset of the kinds of people who pay for things on the internet if you actually don't do it. Like, if you don't patron people, like, it's really hard to get into the heads of patrons and what they actually want. Because the biggest thing about the After Dark channel and all the stuff I did on here over the years, all the experimentation, is that the people who pay me are usually the ones who are the most into me doing different and weird stuff.
Right.
They pay me so I can do that, so I don't have to make, you know, like, generic ad-relevant content. And some of them will complain if I do too much of that, you know? So, like... I have always seen it as this balancing act of, like, trying to make stuff that brings in new viewers, trying to make stuff that appeases the patrons, or that pleases myself, you know, and all these different things rely on also finding inspiration for each of those categories to be checked off every month. You know, like, this month I have to have one video that's going to be super big and keep me relevant, something that's going to please my patrons, and something that I actually will get something out of. Having those 3 ideas every month is extremely fucking difficult. And eventually I thought it would be better if I could work on, like, bigger, longer taking ideas. Tried to do that, and literally the amount of time it took, like, plummeted my Patreon. Of, like, people did not have faith I would, you know, be able to complete the big projects that I was working on. And so I couldn't, because I lost so much funding so quickly that I was like, nah, fuck it, back to the fucking work wheel, you know? And my entire career has just been me trying to figure out how to balance those elements of growth potential product that satisfies people who pay me, and products that satisfy myself. And, like, there is times where those 3 things just can't even exist, where none of those 3 can exist. And sometimes they can all be the same thing, you know? And so when I look at my work and, like, what I'm doing, sometimes the questions I ask myself are like, what would be a popular video I could do? I've never found an answer to a question like that. Other people sometimes give me ideas that become popular videos because they're paying attention to what's going on. I can never fucking tell. I have no fucking idea what anybody wants from me. I will literally ask on Twitter, like, hey, what would you be most excited to see from Digi? And get every single answer different. So, like, I don't try to predict any of it. I'm just like, I'm going to do the things that are fun to do and that are interesting to me, and we'll see how they respond.
My point was that when was the last time you made a video that aimed to generate growth in the last year? One that reached 100K.
I mean, I hoped that the 10 anime films would get that. It didn't. So, like,
which was my original comment that Riley commented on.
But it didn't work though. Like, it didn't get 100,000 views. It seems like it should, but it did not. Why?
You know why? Because YouTube, you lost momentum, and it's no longer.
I would have to, in order for me to gain momentum and retain it in the YouTube algorithm, I would have to make a video like that, like, come out every 4 days for about 2 weeks before my channel would have the kind of momentum where YouTube would start perpetuating it again. And even then, I'd have to put out a video every week in that same style and format. I'd have to, if I'm gaining new audience members through this, you know, keep them engaged and not shake things up. I'm just not interested in doing any content I don't want to do. I don't give a fuck at all.
And
I will go broke and die before I give a fuck.
None of that is better for your career than just going to Burning Dick with me. Like, you met more people there that will be better for your career in the future than any fucking YouTube clicks. YouTube doesn't matter, guys. This isn't a real thing. YouTube doesn't matter.
Right.
We're working on real content moves outside of it.
The Void Chasers adventures are so, like, for us, like, it's not just content. We're out there, like, making connections and meeting people, and
we have 10 to 15 years to, like, make TV shows and shit together, and we're going to do that.
I just think that being an independent creator on YouTube is completely not sustainable.
No.
Like, as soon as it became a corporate thing where, like, most of the big channels have teams behind them, even people that don't seem like they have teams behind them, most of them have, like, some kind of team, at least 4 or 5 people, you know, like...
Giga has 4 people. I think he has, like, 2.
Yeah, so, like, Giga still has a team, though.
Giga has a whole... Oh, my God. Giga doesn't just have a fucking team. Giga has ghostwriters. Like, Giga doesn't even write his content. Like, and I'm not saying that to insult him. Like, that... I know
it's
the guy who helped write the Giga videos.
Right.
He's a fucking production... Like, he was a producer for the BBC. He's real, like, production... crew. Like, everything he does is a full-bore production.
There's a reason Trash Taste is so popular.
Oh, yeah, no. That has crew for sure. Like, the lighting crew, camera crew. When you look at someone like Giga or Mother's Basement or the Anime Man, who, like, they have 1-2 million subscribers. I have 365K. People will talk about me like I'm big like they are, but it's not even remotely in the same category because of the level of, like, endorsements and shit that they have.
Right.
Of, like, the backing that they have in the industry that I have none of. So, like, for me, doing this independently is literally just been a drain on my, like, lifespan for 8 years. Like, there's a reason I have a head of gray hair, you know? Like,
yeah.
Other YouTubers who played ball and worked with people did, you know, they might have already ruined their life, crashed their Ferrari, and died of speedballing, but, you know... That's where they're at. This is where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost my chance to be on DG versus everyone because it was too late. I think it was.
We were hoping to recreate that. Like,
right.
We already were talking about, like, if anybody comes at Riley on the internet, he's just going to be like, come on this show and let's do a versus everyone about it. So,
I mean, honestly, I can go forever. I have no problem with arguing here or anywhere.
The first one is, what's your favorite anime?
Yeah, I mean, Monster, Death Note, Yu Hakusho, Canon from 2006, Elfen Lied, Higurashi.
See, those are all my favorite animes. I don't know why this guy doesn't like me. He would like Animates. Those are all the shows I'm gonna do with Mint on OnlyFans, like shit like that.
Yeah, just cover all those shows, and then he'll have to buy the OnlyFans.
Right. You know what's harsh and egregious? Losing a Twitter account.
It is really bad.
It's day 1 without any boat. I'm out here on an ocean of social interaction, and until we build our own port, I have nowhere to go. My boat was my Twitter account with my mutuals, and now I'm boatless.
Nice boat.
You could have, maybe you right there, you were on my boat, but you're not now. I had a boat, and the boat was taken by Jack Dorsey personally. It's like Jack Dorsey owes me a boat. Maybe 2 by now.
Hashtag Jack Dorsey owes me a boat.
It's kind of nice, though, not having a Twitter. I've posted 5 or 6 times on the backup, the ASE Presents Twitter, at ASE Presents. But it's just promotional stuff like this Patch Flowers video we did. We smoked an ounce in 2 days or something. 3 days, we hit it. We hit it, friends. Boomed. We gotta produce some music. So now it's like I just gotta stop thinking about having no Twitter. Gotta start thinking about how I can make music, and Digi will have Twitter and stuff like that, and Mint and Bird, and I'll just be the one who sits here at the house and makes visualizers and stuff, you know? So, and OnlyFans content, so thank you for watching this. Thank you for paying for this. You're supporting my Twitterless lifestyle, my boatless being. I'm floating without a boat because it capsized. I guess those bars kind of predicted this Twitter shit. I'm currently floating without a discotheque. I'm currently floating because Twitter's a wreck. Jack Dorsey's a dipshit. Mad when other people make jokes, I bet. Is that haha?
It's good.
Thanks, Salad. Hey, this is my editor, Mint Salad. We're gonna do another anime episode soon. The Mint Salad, how have you been in the time since I lost my Twitter account?
I've been working.
Yeah, what have you been working on? Hey, Twitter fucked me, but it's not the end of me. It's not the beginning. It is the beginning of me. It's the middle of me. It's the middle of where I am. And middles are good. You don't see a lot of middles. You see beginnings, you see ends. Middles are strong. And when you turn 22, you're right in the middle of the middles. I'm going to have a middle zone until I'm like 40. Then maybe I'll die when I'm 50, so my ending will be 40 to 50, but maybe I live till I'm 80. Wouldn't that be whack, wild, and wonky? Oh, I'm in Salad, and oh, wow. To like, you know, make me kind of just like, oh, wow, I'm in Salad.
Hey, Lamau, we got some herb.
What is this?
It's $20 a G. Are you interested?
I am definitely interested.
It's so this one's just thyme and rosemary, and I'm gonna chop some garlic into it. And this one's thyme, rosemary, and dill, and I'm gonna chop some garlic into it.
What you cooking?
I'm cooking potatoes, broccoli, and salmon.
So what's this part for?
It's to make the garlic easier to cut up. It makes it little.
I mean, what is all of this part for? This whole step? What is this
Oh,
all
it's
involved?
flavor. You ever, like, if you're not cooking with herbs, you gotta be cooking with herbs.
Are this gonna flavor everything that you're making right now?
Yeah, so these ones that I'm cutting right now are gonna go into the potatoes, and then those ones over there are gonna go onto the salmon, and while I put butter into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, to explain in a way that would be like a cooking tutorial.
Oh yeah, so
what's going to go into the potatoes is
this,
which consists of
rosemary, thyme, and garlic.
And what's going to go on the salmon is this, which consists of
rosemary, thyme, dill, and garlic.
Okay, sick. This already looks gorgeous. What's going on?
So I par-cooked the potatoes for about 15 minutes, and now I'm tossing them in avocado sunflower oil and rosemary, thyme, and garlic.
Avocado sunflower oil?
It's the best oil ever. If you haven't had it, you're going to really hate yourself when you try it.
Okay, I'm about to hate myself a whole lot, I think.
Oh yeah, and we're not even done with these. We're gonna bake them too.
Big fish.
Big fish. I'm scoring it so that it cooks through better. I tend to not like to flip my salmon. I'll only let the browning on the top come from like butter basting it or something like that. And this really helps the skin crisp up and taste more like a potato chip. Or some guy on YouTube says the bacon of the sea.
We got this big salt.
Big S.
Oh, it looks so gorgeous on there.
I'm really happy with it. I've been looking for this for a while. I also make like flakes, which are kind of like, you know, flakier, but I think this is gonna be great. I'm really happy, really excited, really proud of myself.
Cooking these one at a time?
Yeah, this pan is not big enough for it. Be careful, it's like hot. Yeah, you really want to make sure to fry the skin so that it crisps up and the fat renders out. It'll taste really good.
We have complete broccoli and mashed potatoes. How did you do the broccoli and bake the mashed potatoes?
They're not mashed. They're just kind of chunked and cooked.
Sure, yeah.
They're gonna get crispy, is the point.
So they're not done yet, or are they done?
The broccoli's done. I'm gonna take this off and then spread these out so they get more crispy edges. With the broccoli, it was lemon, salt, pepper, and what did I say? Sunflower avocado oil.
How did you cook them?
At 450 in the oven.
For how long?
Until they looked done.
Just you're doing right now.
I'm basting it with the butter and the herb and the garlic mixture. So E-Mart, the international grocery store we go to, only has, what is it, Land O'Lakes? And I'm not about supporting genocide of Native Americans.
Bold.
So what are we doing? What's happening?
I'm about to say fucking... Oh, I did not even need a knife. That's beautiful.
Based.
You got the crispy on point. Wow, you cooked it way better than last time you made salmon, which is to say correctly and perfectly. What all is in this? What all, everything?
It's dill, rosemary, thyme, garlic, and butter. And actually, I can put more on it if you want.
I also got pepper on there.
Oh, gotcha. Here. Watch yourself. Here, like, yeah, I don't know, it's just hot, you know? More butter.
Glamorous. Glamorous.
Okay, and also the skin should taste awesome as well.
Oh, holy fuck. That literally does taste like a potato chip. Holy shit.
It's amazing.
Wow. I'm like, I've had salmon where I did not eat the skin because it was not good, cooked by people. I've had salmon that the skin is fine and glides right through, but never where the skin was like a literal completely different flavor profile of like an actual potato chip. Mad, like maybe a little too salty. It is very salty, but it is fucking delicious. I want to peel that skin off and dip it in the salsa. Can we try that?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So we've got some Shawnee Flamin' Apple Salsa. It's apples and habanero.
And I'm going to cleanse my palate first with this Koshi Hikari Echigo beer, which is really good.
It's delicious.
It's a rice beer. It kind of tastes similar to Sapporo, but better. It's like $3 a can. So now let's try a
salmon skin.
Salmon nacho. A salmon skin nacho.
that actually fucking works. I don't know what to say. Like, it offsets the saltiness exactly as it should. It's still like a little too salty as a chip, but goddamn, it worked. I like it.
Okay, we're going to bring in our next caller, Iluzon, because they have a similar... they want to talk about this topic also, from whatever perspective that they have to offer.
I've been watching Digi since the Pony days, and I'm addicted to YouTube. I have now I'm on my seventh playlist where I just put on videos that I want to watch, because YouTube actually has a limit on how big a playlist has to be. 5,000 videos, and then it starts giving you error messages, so you have to do another playlist.
I've had that happen to me.
I had to quit Patreon. Because I was just giving way too much money, because I care about a lot of YouTubers and creators, and also there was some specific porn that I wanted to pay for. Even after I reduced all the money, I just couldn't get over it. So, but since content is on Subscribestar, that's not a problem. So now I'm paying you again.
Hell yeah!
Mostly don't like real life porn.
I didn't say it had to be real life. We got artists on this team, dog.
You know what? Yeah, men should just start unloading anime porn onto the OnlyFans.
Yeah, I could do that as well.
Sure.
Yeah, right. I feel like I'm an artist too.
Yeah.
I'm into mind control stuff. But it's not only mind control, it's also any mind change. For example, I'm into a lot of the sissy and transformation sequences from boy to girl, stuff like that, because it doesn't transform only the body but also the mind. They start being a girl.
And all girls are sluts.
I'm obsessed with the blockchain and the idea of the ledger, because the blockchain is a ledger of transaction, and I think that anytime two people interact, they kind of open a ledger like that. Every words you volley back and forth is another thing that's being noted on and there's lots of different things, like the meaning of the phrase, the way that it's said, what it means for you, or any kind of conceptions like that. A lot can be packed into just a small interaction. Ben Franklin, his thing was he would get people to do things for him to make them like him. He was somebody would be like, "Oh, I don't like you," and he'd say, "Oh, I heard you had this book that I've been meaning to read, and you were talking about it. Can I actually borrow that?" And then the person would be like, "Okay, weird. I guess I can help this guy." And then that opens a ledger where now that person has done something for him, so they kind of have that anticipation they might get something back.
Sure.
Oh, I was helpful, therefore I'm in gear for when I
goes the other way too, right? Just actually help people. It's weird, right? But if you just help people and want to help them make shit, then they'll be very happy that you did that. Yeah. That's what producers do.
What Ben Franklin was trying to say, and I do think this is true, is that literally getting people to do stuff for you will make them like you even more than doing stuff for them.
Everybody in the world needs to read How to Win Friends and Influence People before ever even talking to me on the internet. His book, the other book, is what taught me how to be a guest producer. It's just, hey, did you know that if you email somebody and you pretend they're going to see it, that there's a higher chance they'll respond because you're talking to them like someone who will see what you're saying?
Right.
Real simple shit like that you would think would be common sense. Dale Carnegie would just become friends with presidents by reaching out and saying hey and being a normal guy about it.
Book recommendation.
It's like recommending the Bible if you want to be a religious moral person, right?
A favorite author of this kind of stuff is Mark Manson. He's a blogger for many years, and he traveled through most countries on the globe, and his most well-known thing is his book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
So you have paid Digi, so you're more qualified to speak on sort of the content changing, right? Or you had an opinion about that?
I like to think things in broad terms, and
sure.
go in far in the consequences of stuff. So what's your business plan? what to
plan?
I got you.
Business plan?
We're gonna build a bunch of diverse, different styles of content, and we're going to funnel them through the Digi Collective channel, and then into the OnlyFans, where we have like our premium library. Think of it like a Netflix for if you give a shit about any of us. Yeah. We're gonna have Bird shows there. We're gonna have Mint and me doing shows. We're gonna have me doing a rant series. We're gonna have Digi doing lots of bonus content on there with all of us and some alone, I'm sure. Probably. Whatever you end up wanting to do. But the point is to kind of create our own Netflix there, right? And then the channel, we're going to put a bunch of music videos on it soon. Treat that sort of like a lyrical lemonade. It's the actual most viable platform moving forward for raising money without the interference of a platform deciding your morals or your political positions.
The big deal about OnlyFans is you can upload video directly to OnlyFans, which is not something you can do with any other payment
Patreon
platform.
sucks for that.
Yeah, and like, granted, OnlyFans takes a bigger cut of your money, but like the fact that you can upload videos directly to it and like images, text, whatever, it's like a Tumblr feed basically.
I still think that dependence on platform is bad.
I agree. I would ultimately I would like to just release everything to torrent. If I could, but I have to set up a server for that. Right. I have to set up how people pay for it. Somehow.
I mean, trust me, if we could be on New Project 2, we would be.
Right, New Project 2 got shut down. That's unfortunate. Like,
you're not allowed to have an alternative that doesn't already exist in some way. And like, because this functions for sex workers, it's not going to be taken down or moderated as heavily as Patreon.
Maybe you could try getting paid through banks directly, and through postal service, just...
I mean, if you're saying you would mail us money, then we'll set up a way for you to do that. But there's not like a demand for people to mail us money. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Well, that's super cool. That'd be really great to have check money. What are you talking about? I want that now. But it's like, do you see what I'm saying, though? Is there's not really a demand for us to have implemented a system like that right now?
Yeah.
A good email subscription, a good email is, I think, would be a good mailing list would be good.
Yeah.
Getting something advertised in like old school ways, like IRL kind of ways, boomer ways. That's something cool to me, and I think it might work on other people that are mostly on the internet.
I just don't think it's like worth the money the letters would be costing us to purchase, right? Like, I don't know, it's not. I mean, the internet's already so economically non-viable. Right. I can't imagine spending money promoting an internet thing.
I guess what I'm trying to say is whatever I want to do, it won't be obvious to anyone what I'm doing. Like, it won't be so simple as, like, I advertised my channel more and got more viewers and made more patrons and therefore
I think it's interesting.
It'll be like...
My point is that's how most people think about top content on internet, and I just want to talk about, like, different alternative ways of doing things, that people usually don't think about.
Getting connections, just making friends, like just having people, like, because there's to some extent, and this is kind of what I've learned through hanging out with Riley, like, who at the time, like when you came over to my house the first time, essentially you had room and board in exchange for weed and companionship.
Right.
Like, you came with drugs and being there.
Yeah.
We probably fed you.
I got in too late. We were going to have a party here. You had friends over. We were going to drink and stuff. And then I got in too late. But that's because Mint drives slow.
But, like, ultimately, like, if you are somebody who people want to have in their house, then you always have somewhere to sleep. Like, if you can always find somebody who wants you in their house. And I know people like, Ben Saint spent like a year couch surfing through California or something. Like, I know people who've done things like that. But I want to know, like, what is the scaling on that? Like, beyond, okay, people want me in their house. I want to see, like, what will people give me to continue my existence? Just to, like, how much can I demand from the world that I can actually get on the basis of just being me and people wanting me to exist? Like, that's my experiment.
I had the money. I would give you as much as I could without risking you going too insane from having too many.
I would bet that if the two of us came to where you live and we were in your town, you would probably take us out for drinks and spend more money on us that night than you probably would ever pay us on the internet. And that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, most definitely.
Right, and that's our target demographic. Right. If you want to know like an actual answer for like...
And I have done that before. I have hosted people and I like that. Yeah.
Of course. No, everyone has. Like, everyone's had a relative come into town or like a friend or... Not to be too hard on this point, but I really think it's important that everyone that I talk to understands that my position is you cannot make money on the internet, and you should be meeting people in real life and throwing events. I come from live music and stage shows, like working with record artists on live rap shows. Like, I don't really have an interest in this online stuff unless it's a Hulu situation where, like, we are making our own private premium content library for people who like us. Right. And that can even be pitched and shifted through other projects into other mediums. Like, obviously, my goal is to, like, make a real piece of entertainment media in our lifetime, and it's not to, like, make independent projects on the internet. Right. I think this is a vehicle to learning the skill set required and proving you know how to do the thing, so the people with real money give you a chance to make something really cool. That's what I'm doing.
I sure hope so.
If you make connections with people who have enough money to do that kind of stuff, you know, to pay for that. So.
Well, we already do, so... It's like we don't need a hypothetical.
Yeah.
That's very good.
This was a productive conversation. Thank you, Iluzon.
You're welcome.
There's something called pop culture. It's made up of novels and manga and movies and games and music and just about anything else, really. Art? Nah, that's a little, too artsy. Frankly, pop culture is a bit better at rocking people emotionally than the better chunk of the so-called fine arts. The sole standard of judgment in pop culture is the ludicrously simple concept of what sells wins, which is nice and honest. Sells is sort of an term to me, so let's say that it finds an audience. It's a very pop culture thing to establish yourself by finding an audience, which is true, and I tell people this, but I bet they'd say everything works that way. But in our world, there are things that are just so damn good no matter what other people say, and that sort of thing is not called pop culture. No, that's known as a lost masterpiece, or a legendary performance, or by all sorts of other names. It's not that these things aren't great, they just aren't pop. I'm saying this in full knowledge that it might be misunderstood, but most pop culture is kind of half-assed. The real thing is stuff, so fake stuff is better. Is that logical? People fully capable of making something real are deliberately pulling back and putting out something fake. What does this tell us? Thinking about that scares me, so I'm not going to, but this very half-assed approach is also sort of blowing away the petrified past and opening the path to the future. Nobody's got any idea what I'm talking about, right? Okay. The best thing about pop culture is how hard it is to achieve any kind of legitimacy. It's not that it never earns it, but it's pretty rare. Something that was king of the hill a moment before is cast into the compost heap a second later, while something that was long ago pronounced dated is resurrected and declared innovative. Why did those idiots forget about this? That's what pop is. It's pretty crazy, but within that whirlpool, you do get a sense of a certain kind of necessity. Something appears, becomes huge, and then explodes and is gone completely, like a bubble with a pop. A fitting name. There's no cheap trick to get something established. A novel might win some big award, but that doesn't have the least bit of effect on sales. The first book won an award and probably didn't necessarily sell amazingly. To be perfectly honest, my own tastes have always been a bit disconnected from my generation. I'm the least pop person ever. I'm running around listening to stuff from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, screaming awesome, reading books from 50 years ago and shouting cool, yes, that kind of guy. These things aren't connecting to the pop of today at all. The only one getting excited is me. I'm a little worried about that. As someone who's trying to make a living as a novelist, naturally I'm worried, and I'm trying to make myself more pop, but it just isn't working. As I can imagine that you can tell from the general tone of this essay, I admire pop, and I have a sort of complex about it, really. But since my personality's gone and twisted itself with everything I make people say, well, it's unique, or is this supposed to be funny? And they usually follow it up with, well, we can't publish it. They're still saying it even now. But even so, I've got to aim for pop. This is the theme of my life, so it can't be helped. If everything I make ends up being more boogie, it's not my fault. I'd like to say that, except it is my fault, really, but I'm going for it anyway, even if it's a kind of boogie pop. Then someday, I still might make the real thing. This guy just writes whatever crap he wants to. Whatever. BGM, Children of the Sun by Matey.
You can get a poignant message through to a wider audience if you make Endgame than if you make fucking Citizen Kane, you morons. Nobody gives a shit about the Twilight Zone anymore, but Black Mirror made a lot of fucking money. You have to make it both. You can't do art just for art's sake. You have to do art for profit. You have to be able to
also, like, if you
to live off of it and make better art. You have to make money off of it. You have to have it.
I think the goal is that you have to admire pop. You have to sincerely figure out what's good about it, and then you can, like, people keep asking me, like, how do you do boogie pop? Because I'm trying to make my stuff, like, sound good or be, like, similar in structure in some way. It's like, no, you have to actually like pop. You have to want to make it and be trying to and failing. That's how you make boogie pop. You know, this guy is trying to make pop and getting closer each time until he landed on this book that became a major franchise, and now he has a career, you know? But, like, he was, like, 27 or 28, and he'd been trying to get published for probably 5 or 6 years by this point, you know? Like, so, you know, it's a matter of just keep trying to be more pop and you know, integrate.
Literally sell out.
Well, not that you have to sell out. You have to, like, because if you sell out, then you are trying to do it insincerely. You're just trying to copy pop. You have to actually love pop. You have to just figure out what's good about it and love it. Like, decide to love it. Like
a Drake fan.
I didn't like Attack on Titan 5 years ago. I like it now. Like, why? I just decided to pay attention. Like, I set aside the fact that initially I didn't care because the whole show is just fucking looks boring. Like, it just is... just doesn't look fun or interesting to me. It's a bunch of big people eating people and screaming. I don't care. But then I was like, hey, what if I, like, tried to care about the show? And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get why this is good. Now I see how I can take that and inject my weird shit into it for, like, you know, analyze the formula of why people like it and then make what I consider a better version, you know?
That's what the studio did after animating season 1.
Exactly, with Cavalry of the Iron Fortress.
Yo, what's up? It's first time, but I've been wanting to do this for a while. You guys were talking about how to make money, you have to meet people. I don't actually make money when I meet people, but I get a lot of free things.
Yes.
Right? Because I started gambling 2 years ago. And because of that, that has opened my contacts, like, wildly.
Interesting. Are you gambling, like, in casinos or online?
Oh, these are, like, at people's house, like, in mansions. Places that, like, crippled white trash like me weren't even allowed to go to before I started gambling. And, like, hell, that's how I won the Virgin contest. I went to a strip club with the gambler I know, and he's like, ha ha, you're funny wheel man, you make me laugh. I'll take you to the strip club and we'll blow $4,000 of my money on some horse.
I'm curious about the pipeline of how you ended up, like...
I'm not, don't ask him that shit. Don't ask him about that. I wouldn't want anybody to ask us about our pipelines.
No, I don't mean, like, I just meant, like, does this start with, like, you just go to a bar and, like, play poker there, and then you end up at somebody's house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you go to poker clubs, you meet people. CJ's on that same vibe we're on.
Yeah, most poker rooms are in the back of bars, and you sit down at the bar, you get to talk to these people, if you're like me, you use your humor to your advantage, and they start to like you, and then they invite you to their house and give you free liquor, and you party with them. It's pretty awesome, man.
It's just good to live as a funny, interesting person, I guess. You are inherently interesting to most people by way of just living so completely different by way of not your choice.
Well, like, yeah, you got to...
And having a perspective on it that is funny. And
he got to skirt responsibility, and instead of playing victim about it, he gets to embrace that he has no responsibility or fault.
That's really the reason why I hate other disabled people, is because they're not able to make their disablement funny. They have to be all sad about it and cry about it for days. And Digi, too, has a special spot in my heart, because you really taught me that internet beef was gay, because I'm sure everyone remembers, but I made a call in where I said I wanted to fight you because of the Larry Khan shit. And that just that whole thing, as I reflect on it, I'm like, wow, it's really stupid and pointless to just hate anyone on the internet.
Right. We are currently on that, like, Riley has been on the everyone will see what you say wave. We should talk about this.
Yeah, let me do that. This year, I'm going to really double down on something I kind of believed last year, which is like a key to my success online or whatever. I just think people will see what I say. And a lot of people have told me it's like egotistical or whatever, but like I'm not a reply guy on Twitter. I talk to people, they see me, they respond, and they follow me on Twitter. It just like works like that for me. And I think it's that intent that like I am talking to a real person. This isn't internet shit. I'm just like, hey, how are you? And then people respond well to it. And if you take everything you're saying and you just have that energy behind it, like I was just talking shit on Twitter the other day and responded to something JID, the rapper Jid, had tweeted. He was talking about like crackers, and some self-hating white guy commented like, oh, we're not all like that. And my response is like, why are you fucking identifying as a cracker? Like, what the fuck? So, you know, I'm like, yo, it's about a culture thing. It's not your skin color. And JID liked it and responded, and then we bantered a little about our men and our women on Twitter. And it's like, well, that guy's got millions of followers, but he's using the same fucking Twitter platform I am. He's looking at Twitter the same way I am. He's doing this thing I'm doing probably exactly like I'm doing it because we're both fucking doing it. Yeah. And if you treat people like that, then you will get good responses. You just need to be aware of it. Like, the same thing goes with if you've ever fucking, like, talk shit about somebody online. There's a chance they probably saw it. Like, it helps that I've been working with the Dick Show, because you see shit like how PewDiePie obviously is familiar with Dick and Maddox's saga to some degree, and you have to think like, well, did PewDiePie watch the PCP lecture on it?
Very possible.
How does PewDiePie know who Madoff is? Did he listen to The Biggest Problem? Right. Is that where the reference is coming from? Is he a dickhead who can't talk about it because entire stock markets change when PewDiePie has a hobby? Exactly. I know he's a lurker. I'm friends with people who are friends with PewDiePie. Right. I hang out with these people in real life because, like, that is a place where you don't have to cause problems talking about shit.
Exactly.
Again, all this internet shit sucks. The platforms will take you off for talking, so meet in real life.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, I know.
It's like these people lurk.
Like, I know without having talked to anybody or asking that, like, I must be blacklisted from certain places because of things I've said on the internet.
I'm sure.
Crunchyroll literally had... My mentality towards things was always that nobody would see it for a very long time, for most of my life. Like, I posted everything on the internet, hoping everyone would see it,
right,
thinking no one will ever see it, until a point when people started seeing it. And, like, to me, getting 100 views was, like, astronomical at a time when it first happened to me. So, like, everything above that is, like, just insane. Like, if 50,000 people saw my video, there is a chance that one of those people goes to school with my brother, and he's going to come home and tell me about it that day, which is stuff that would happen to me, you know? Like, I would hear about from my friends, oh, you know Digi, bro? Like, I watched those videos, and they all have, like, a strong opinion, but most of the time they've seen, like, 1 or 2 videos, you know? So it's, like, the breadth of how many people could see something, like if I make a video that gets 1 million views and it makes like one small point about some guy who no one's ever heard of in it, that guy might get 10,000 subscribers off of the fact that that video happened to blow up,
right?
You know? But even still, I could tweet something about a creator that like no one sees except that creator, because they're like literally searching their name, which a lot of, like, most of them do, and not just out of vanity, but out of like, it's a good idea as a creator to know what people are saying about you, so all of them are doing it. Like, it's crazy to me that people think that creators aren't paying attention to their career, especially internet creators who are 100% all fans, unless they are like the Fine Bros who are like super corporate, or something like those guys who do the Elsa and Spider-Man videos where they're just like finding money-making schemes.
Guys like Mr. Beast are watching YouTube all day. That's what they like doing.
Guys, most YouTubers are YouTube fans, and
not
just YouTubers,
Wang.
Media fans. Most of them are movie fans, video game fans. Well,
and like a lot of people are disillusioned. Like, that's what the YouTube comment shit talking is always about. Like, oh, I'm just gonna say some shit and throw it out there and it doesn't matter. But it's like, well, I'm reading it. And I'm going to tell you I'm reading it.
Is that they started from a place of having an opinion about shit.
Sure.
Like, they were, if not a commenter, at the very least, somebody who was watching videos and having opinions about them.
Well, right.
And because they thought some of those videos were good, they started making them. They went, oh, I'm going to try to do, like, those good videos, and I'm going to try to make good videos. And so, like, they're going to be hyper aware of the audience reaction to everything they do because they want affirmation that they're making good videos. Otherwise, they wouldn't do this. People, it took a long time for people to start calling YouTube, like, an artistic career. I don't think people will challenge me too much on that right now. But, like, for a very long time, if you called this an artistic career, people would laugh at you. Because, like, you're supposed to be doing, like, generative single form content that always comes out as the same thing. You know?
Right, it's incredibly corporate for independent content.
Everybody who's doing it has to be treating it as an art form, because if they were just treating it for money, they would be doing something else. Unless, again, it's like the Elsa and Spider-Man videos. Like, that is actually a money-making scheme.
Yes.
That actually works, you know? Most people don't do that because they're doing it out of pride. Like, pride is tied up in any of the art we do, especially, you know, making this type of content on the...
And I was like, you know what? I want to talk to Dick Masterson. I think I'll try to get on the show. And I did. I got on the show. Some people liked me, some people didn't. But Dick liked me at the end of the day, so I got on the show again. And I just kept doing that. And there's a rhythm, too.
And WATP and whatever else, you engage meaningfully and wholesomely. You're like, oh, I want to be part of this thing I like. And people respond well to that, as they would. Who wouldn't?
Well,
if you walked up to a celebrity in public...
to have something to offer as well. Like,
no, you don't need to offer anything. The offering is that you're not being a cunt. Like, just, oh, I like this. Like, that is enough,
well, what
you
I
know?
mean is, like, CJ comes in and is like, I'm going to make jokes and try to be funny. It's not just to be on the... Because there are some guys who, like, call in... and then they don't have anything to say. Like,
those people are the worst.
They fucking... Those are the ones who usually get really reamed and never come back.
Right.
You know? Or who Dick might give them some kind of challenge that they never do.
But, yeah, I think if you stop trying to prove yourself to other people and you just do stuff because you want to do it, it's probably going to come out a lot funnier that way.
Don't get me wrong. There's a talent to being funny, like in a stand-up type of way, but there's definitely, more often than not, I've enjoyed the higher functioning spectrum of friends goofing around more than I've enjoyed the medium range to high spectrum of stand-up. Obviously, like, the low range of friends goofing around is like the shittiest podcast format or whatever, but like the higher end of it's better than sometimes the higher end of performative art.
I would say too that gambling helps with everything. I would recommend gambling to everybody. And it's not even if you win money or you're bad at it or whatever. It's after a certain point you've been doing it for so long, that stress about money is no longer there. Like, I came from a household where I can remember times where I was in the back seat of my grandma's car at a Wendy's, and she was working herself into a heart attack because she thought she paid $2 more than she should have for that spicy chicken sandwich, you know. But when I gamble, I don't care if I lose $100 in a hand. It's like money is now just a thing for gambling and cigars. It's not life or death.
Well, and it, you know, never was. It's always just for whatever you need to spend it on. For some people, that's cigarettes. For some people, that's, like, admittedly, for some people, that's, like, food for their 3 kids. But, like, maybe you don't need 3 kids if you can't afford them. I always tell people, if gaining or losing $100 either way changes your day, then, like, you're not dealing with big enough numbers in your life. Like, you're not taking enough risks. You're dealing with really small, like, chump change numbers.
I think it's unfortunate that I think American culture tends to invite people to be very closed off from each other, to be like, I have to make all my own money and have a certain amount and, like, take care of myself. And, like, we're talking about if you have that community of, like, where there's people who would take care of you if you were on hard times, you wouldn't have these sorts of issues, you know? And, like, in a lot of foreign countries, just families are closer knit or communities are closer knit, and it's not because people like each other more. It's just that they have, like, a sense of duty in their culture to, like, the preservation of the community to whatever extent, you know? So, like, I think that I think that American culture is changing in this way.
Yeah, I go about it with, I know the system is broken, but I use it to my advantage. So an example of that is I get a lot of people that are like, oh, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and don't go on welfare. If you truly hate the government, the best thing to do is take the money that they give you and recklessly blow it on things.
You see how fucking smart CJ is, though?
This is a revelation, I think.
I had Mint, Bird, and Digi sit down with me to watch Snowpiercer this last weekend. Snowpiercer, the point of the movie to a lot of people is like, oh, the people at the top of the train are bad and they want me to eat bugs. But my takeaway is, I'm not at the back of the train. I'm doing stuff to earn my place on the train, and you have to be on the train to live. So you need to find a place on the train. All of us. Anyone listening to this right now, you need to find a fucking cart on the train you can be on when Snowpiercer happens, because you don't want to be in the tail end. That's the point of the movie. And when I don't want to spoil the movie, but in my opinion, what happens at the end of the movie is bad. It was bad. It's not even seemingly presented as the good option.
I would just say it's just what happens.
It's just what happens if you fight the system instead of work with the system. Right. So you need to work with the system. Like CJ said, spend their money. Get a job working for your local fucking post office and buy drugs with it.
If you pay taxes at all, they will embezzle your money. So the best thing you can do is embezzle the money that they give to you.
That's fucking true.
So get a government job.
There's always those things that you have to remind yourself to like hate things a little bit more than you do. Like you'll convince yourself like, well, you know, everything sucks, but I'm okay, so it's fine. But it's like, no, like they're fucking you in ways you can't even predict. You already. Like,
no, while you complain about Star Wars, you're being raped by companies from 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago's decisions. Right. Like while you're complaining about Star Wars today, like. Bad shit already happened to you 15 years ago. You have no idea. And we're going to move to our next...
I had a void thought if we're still doing those.
Please
do a void thought.
If I can talk the walk, I will eventually walk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my void thought.
Like if you just keep...
I tell people when I want to confuse them. You got to talk the walk. That's what you got to do. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for
thank you.
Michael J. Fox, not too shaky. I'm unstoppable, you can't escape me. I can't play ball, but I'll still dunk on you. I'll take your girl out for a couple of brews. What else can I say? I'm on a roll. Your red Ferrari already hit the pole. My man Ari will make you feel sorry. We got a whole gang of Samantha and Carly. You think you're cool, huh? Cause you got that Benz. I'm spending money for free with all my rich friends. That car won't get you to the front of lines. The tinted windows won't stop you from crying. You think you're cool, huh? Cause you got that Benz. I'm spending money for